right now on News 10 ABC at 11.
Peaceful protests. We have local reaction to a grand jury's decision not to indict the NYPD officer involved in the chokehold death of Eric Garner. Sick to his stomach. That's how one local teenager said he felt when he found nude photos of a friend on the web. What he did next. For the love of a child, one local mother's crusade to build a playground for children with disabilities just got the thumbs up.
It's right now on News 10 ABC at 11.
And we begin in New York City. This is a live picture of Times Square filled with protesters, peaceful protesters, following a decision not to charge a white police officer in New York City accused in the chokehold death of an African-American man. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Elisa Streeter.
And I'm Mark Baker. That decision came down this afternoon, and it's already triggered demonstrations across the country and calls for a Justice Department investigation.
It is our top story tonight. Thousands took to the streets of New York City to show their anger. Many held signs saying, "I can't breathe." That's what Eric Garner is heard saying to officers in Staten Island who were trying to subdue him. He later died.
The grand jury decision has many throughout the state and here in the capital region now calling for additional action. News 10 ABC's Marty Casper has been speaking with your elected leaders. He joins us now live at the Capitol with more. Marty?
Well, when 43-year-old Eric Garner was approached by police on the streets of New York City, he was being accused of selling cigarettes illegally. But after putting his hands up and asking police not to touch him, he still ended up dead, the victim of a homicide in large part due to compression of his neck, or as most of us would call it, a chokehold by the hands of police.
Put your hand behind your back. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
The last words of Eric Garner before police action resulted in the death of the 43-year-old.
It's very depressing. It's very frustrating.
On Wednesday, a grand jury decided not to charge the officers involved in the altercation, most of which was captured on camera.
I am really stunned that they didn't.
Local activist Alice Green says it's another example of the way African-American males are treated in America.
I think African-Americans realize that their lives are devalued in this society.
Police had approached Garner for allegedly selling cigarettes illegally.
I'm minding my business. Please just leave me alone.
Green says this type of harassment is normal for African-American males.
And it permeates the entire society.
In New York City, like in Ferguson, the frustration comes from a culture and system that Green believes is broken.
I don't think people will trust that system anymore.
Already, national, state, and local leaders have called for a federal investigation. The Justice Department must launch a federal investigation into Eric Garner's death as soon as possible, tweeted Senator Chuck Schumer. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand said in a statement, Garner's death is, quote, a tragedy that demands accountability, as is the way African-American males are viewed in society, says Green.
It's part of a black male's life that they're going to be stopped at some point and have to deal with the police.
In her view, largely because they're viewed as criminals.
They should not be feared. There's no reason to fear them, and that's a real tragedy, and it's a real crisis in our community.
Now, Green is calling on every state in the nation to establish a Truth, Justice, and Reconciliation Commissions to review these types of instances. She also believes the grand jury system needs to be reviewed and revised. Live in Albany, I'm Marty Casper for News 10 ABC.
Thank you, Marty. Well, demonstrators are marching in cities across the country because of this decision. Right now, we're looking at a live picture of Oakland, California, where protesters, peaceful, are marching down city streets. Emotions are running high across the country. It comes about 1 week after a similar and controversial grand jury decision in Ferguson, Missouri, that is. And tonight, Eric Garner's family is speaking out.
No justice, no peace.
My husband's death will not be in vain. As long as I have a breath in my body, I will fight the fight to the end.
Eric Garner's widow delivered a powerful message in New York, angry over a grand jury's decision not to indict a white police officer in her husband's death. The officer in the video seen putting Garner in a chokehold issued this statement, in part, "It is never my intention to harm anyone, and I feel very bad about the death of Mr. Garner." But Garner's widow doesn't think that's enough.
The time for remorse would have been when my husband was yelling to breathe.
Garner's father urges New Yorkers to keep any protests over his son's death peaceful.
This is our neighborhood. We got to live here. There's no sense in tearing up nothing.
The Justice Department is investigating the circumstances surrounding Garner's death and whether civil rights were violated.
Our prosecutors will conduct an independent, thorough, fair, and expeditious investigation.
Shortly after the decision in the Garner case, President Obama vowed to take action.
This is an issue that we've been dealing with for too long, and it's time for us to make more progress than we've made.
Well, the circumstances surrounding, this was a statement released calling for peaceful protests, and he says the circumstances surrounding his death were nothing short of tragic. And while there will be people who disagree with today's grand jury decision, it is important that we respect the legal process and the rule of law. That is from Governor Cuomo. If you would like to join the conversation, just log on to news10.com for the latest on the situation in New York City and Ferguson, Missouri. You can also leave your comments on our Facebook page.
Ferguson, Missouri was fresh on the minds of protesters tonight in New York City and here in Albany. And the same group of UAlbany students who marched today is expected to demonstrate tomorrow. This cell phone video by UAlbany student Ryan Tarraco shows protesters marching down a street off campus. So many came out to protest the decision not to indict a white police officer for killing an unarmed black teenager that police had to shut down the road. Officers were concerned they were blocking an intersection of Washington Avenue Extension. The students were peaceful and invited officers to join in.
Then one of the officers actually joined us in a chant to try to divert us off the street.
They wanted me to chant "No justice, no peace." That they said, do I agree with that? I have to say I do. Without justice, there isn't peace.
The students ended up at the University Hall where there was more heated discussion on race relations and the case in Missouri.
Well, new at 11, a Rotterdam man is under arrest accused of possessing child pornography. Police arrested 47-year-old Lawrence Atkins. Investigators say he had a memory card with images of kids under the age of 16 in sexual poses. Police do not know if Atkins had any inappropriate contact with the children. Atkins is charged with 5 counts, and he's currently behind bars in Schenectady County Jail. And new charges for Brian Gross, a Troy police officer accused of leaking information about a drug ring investigation. He now faces a total of 5 charges, including tampering with physical evidence.
And divulging and eavesdropping on official misconduct as well. Now, investigators say Gross tipped off suspects who then removed evidence before police arrived. Gross' attorney says his client is innocent. The officer has been suspended without pay. A shocking online discovery for a local high school graduate when he sees nude photos of his underage friend. We first told you last week about nude pictures of local underage students at 3 area schools appearing on the internet. One young man who did not want to be identified says he was sick to his stomach when he came across a nude photo of his 16-year-old friend, allegedly posted on an anonymous website. He immediately tried to get it removed.
It had like a list of options to choose from of why I was reporting it, and I said, like, I just clicked, I know this person, and then there was like other comments, and I wrote that she was underage.
But state police say once posted, there's no guarantee it can be removed or won't resurface, especially overseas. In one case, state police say dozens of underage East Greenbush teenage girls were lured into sending nude photos to another student who then sold them. Police say that student could be charged with child pornography.
And it's time now for a check of the weather.
Let's get a peek at the storm tracker forecast from News 10 meteorologist Tim Drawbridge. Hi, Tim.
Hello, guys. The picking of some ice pellets across parts of the capital districts. We went through the 7 o'clock hour. Otherwise, the snowflakes are flying up north. Check out the current conditions here in Albany. 36 west wind at 9 miles per hour. Some of the wind gusts have been approaching still 20, 30 miles per hour, and that'll be the continuing theme as we head through tonight. It is 33 in Pittsfield, 37 Hudson and in Sheffield, 34 at Bennington to 33 Sharon Springs, 35 at Glens Falls, and 9 cooler than that up at Inlet. The snow continues to fly, and 26. That's where we find a wind gust of 15 miles per hour right now. But check out Johnstown, Pittsfield, and North Adams, as well as Bel Air Mountain. Bel Air Mountain has a wind gust right now of 32 miles per hour. Satellite weather composite shows what's going on. We'll go ahead and zoom on in up north as a band of lake effect snow has penetrated from Lake Ontario through the Tug Hill Plateau, through Herkimer and Hamilton counties on into Warren County. A good push deep inland with that band on into northern Washington County. We're expecting this band to actually start dropping a little bit south as we head through the next few hours and basically west of the Northway as you make your way from Bolton through Glens Falls down through Malta, but according to an inch of snow as we head through the overnight period. Now where we will see the most snow is out across Hamilton, northern Herkimer County on into the Tug Hill Plateau. About 2 to 4 inches of snow from Ohio to Old Forge, and perhaps getting a little bit of that snow in terms of a decent accumulation on into Hamilton County. Bus stop in the morning for many of us. It'll be dry, it'll be breezy, partly sunny, cool 22 to 28. For the afternoon, the breeze does ease up, but it's still chilly. Highs of 30 to 35. More details about your Storm Tracker 7-day forecast coming up less than 10. Guys?
All right, thanks so much, Tim. Well, we have a happy update on the story we've been dedicated to following. A Saratoga County mother's efforts to find a place for her disabled daughter and others like her to play is getting the green light.
News 10 ABC's Rachel Yankunas, who first told you about the Bowman family back in September, has the latest developments from Wilton.
Rebecca Bowman and her daughter Caitlin used to play here until Caitlin was diagnosed with a fatal disease called type 2 Batten. When I first told you about them, Rebecca was looking for approval from the town to build another playground here for children with disabilities. Well, now she has that approval, which means Caitlin will play here again.
That was huge for me. You know, I felt like I could breathe again.
For months, Rebecca Bowman has waited in anticipation, but she finally got the green light from the town of Wilton to build her dream playground here at Gavin Park, where she and her daughter Caitlin used to play.
She's very excited.
Wilton Town Supervisor Art Johnson tells me he and the town's Parks and Recreation Commission fully support the project, allowing her to use this land to build Caitlin's Corner. The design includes sensory boards, swings, and butterfly chairs, all toys for children with disabilities.
The tactile functions on there and the sensory boards will be great for them, because it's fun, interactive play.
And it'll be the only playground of its kind in the area.
I would say this probably would be the first in the area. There's none other than I know of. It's a very energetic woman, and I think she will accomplish what she's out to do.
And she's almost halfway there. In just 2 months, Rebecca has raised $40,000 with the help of local foundations and complete strangers. But she's most excited about this, a sign that tells Caitlin's story, and Rebecca hopes will help future families who might play here.
She's not always going to be here. So for me, it's important to know, because I know her and her personality. She's always loved to give. So I know this is important to her to give to other kids.
Now, Rebecca's fundraising goal is $106,000. So her next fundraiser is a raffle. Only $10 a ticket, but the winning ticket gets $5,000, half of the money in the pot. If you want to get involved and donate, I provided a link to that information on news10.com. Reporting in Wilton, I'm Rachel Yankunas, News 10 ABC.
All right, thank you, Rachel. New twist tonight to the allegations of sexual assault against Bill Cosby.
Still ahead, how the latest accusations could land the comedian in the courtroom and take a massive chunk out of his wallet.
Plus, the heroic actions of a school bus driver in Florida that has dozens of families thankful for who was in the driver's seat. You're watching News 10 ABC at 11.
You're watching Elisa Streeter, Mark Baker, Chief Meteorologist Steve Caparizzo, and Sports with Liana Bonavita. This is News 10 ABC at 11.
More allegations of sexual assault against Bill Cosby tonight, only this time one of the accusers claims she was 15 when the alleged abuse took place, which could end up getting Cosby into a courtroom. That alleged victim, Judith Huth, claims Cosby served her alcoholic beverages, took her to the Playboy Mansion, and sexually molested her when she was 15. Huth is one of 3 accusers, represented by attorney Gloria Allred, who says the 77-year-old comic legend abused them. Beth Ferrier says the comedian drugged her with a cup of cappuccino. The only recent accuser at this point able to file a lawsuit is well, let's take a look at what he had to say.
The next thing I knew, hours had passed. I woke up in the back of my car alone. My clothes were a mess. My bra was undone.
Now, too many years have passed for most of Cosby's accusers to file a lawsuit, but Huth, who was a minor at the time of the alleged incident, is seeking unlimited damages.
More than 35 families have a bus driver to thank for saving the lives of their children. This after their school bus burst into flames on a Florida highway. Take a look at this cell phone video. Oh, it's unbelievable. You can see flames coming out of the back of the bus. The bus driver, a math teacher who fills in as a bus driver several times a week, smelled an odor of gas and saw some smoke. She immediately pulled over and had just one thought.
Just taking care of the kids. They're the most important thing. That's what we do as teachers and educators and bus drivers. We take care of them, and everything else is secondary.
She got all 37 kids off the bus safely before it burst into flames.
Just what people in California did not want to see, rain and lots of it. It caused floods on city streets and fears of mudslides on fire in neighborhoods near fire-ravaged hillsides. In Northern California, some areas got more than 5 inches of rain. Cars were stranded underwater, and the roof of a pharmacy in Santa Cruz collapsed. The storm knocked down trees, knocked out power, and the fears of mudslides did trigger mandatory evacuations in Southern California. Despite the damage, the rain and mountain snow is welcome relief to the drought-stricken state.
New York is getting more than $70 million to upgrade nearly 30 bridges that are vulnerable to flood damage. It's called Bridge Scour, and it's a type of erosion caused by floodwaters. Officials say it's the leading cause of bridge failures around the country. Crews will be strengthening foundations, redirecting the flow of water, and in some cases actually raising the bridges. Governor Cuomo says the federal money is part of a $500 million plan to upgrade more than 100 bridges.
And it's time now to check in with Tim for a look at what's next in the Storm Tracker forecast. Tim.
Well, guys, are you tired of the snow, the sleet, the freezing rain, and tonight-type ice pellets? Would you like some sun? Guess what? We've got some sun on the way. Details of the Storm Tracker 70 forecast after the break.
Here's meteorologist Tim Drawbridge with your Storm Tracker forecast.
And welcome back, everyone. 44 was the day's high. Didn't feel like that with all the dampness in the atmosphere, right? Colder air is poured into the region, and that transition we talked about earlier this evening from rain showers to snow showers has obviously taken place. But I think you'll like the prospects of tomorrow. Maybe not the seasonably chilly temperatures, but we will get the sunshine, becoming mostly sunny as we head through the day for your TGI, TH. Hey, on the downside of the week, right? 33 at noon, 34 the high in Albany for Thursday. The pinging of some ice pellets earlier this evening. This was Arlene's back deck in Voorheesville. Not much, but obviously when you have a lot of things going on with the transition last night and this evening. Yeah, we had the sleet and the freezing rain last night. Tonight, some of the pinging of the ice pellets. Thank you to Arlene for capturing that shot. In the meantime, the lake effect snows are penetrating deep inland from the Tug Hill Plateau through Herkimer and Hamilton counties on into Warren County. This is inlet. Our buddy Dennis with a couple of webcams up in the northern portions of the Adirondacks. Inlet being one area that he's got the webcams, and that's the view of the snow trail. Looks a little bit better than it did last hour, but still low visibilities in the northwestern Adirondacks. And that's where we do find lake effect snow advisories in effect for Hamilton and Herkimer counties. This is in effect until 7 o'clock in the morning. Latest Storm Tracker high definition radar shows the band not penetrating as deep to the left, excuse me, to the right into Warren County. Looking at the radar imagery real quick, just trying to see what the band is doing. Let's loop it over the last hour. And as you can see, it's kind of weakened a little bit from North Creek to Bakertown. Still some flurries, perhaps a couple of rogue raindrops as you make your way on US 4 on into Rutland County. But again, we anticipate this band to push further to the east, meaning Glens Falls to Syracuse, perhaps toward Clifton Park. You'll end up seeing a little bit of snow, and we may see a coating to an inch west of the Northway as we head through this overnight period. Speaking of inlet, 26 right now up near Dennis's Place, 30 at Johnstown, 35 at North Adams to 36 at Hudson, double threes for Cherry Valley, and again it's 36 here in Albany. All right, satellite radar review shows that the cold front that pushed through earlier this evening out to the east, level of high pressure trying to move on in, but that flow around high pressure coming right across the top of the ridge through Lake Ontario, and that's the reason why we have that good, deep, penetrating inland snow band that will persist on the overnight period. Now look back out to the west. Lots of clouds. Iowa, out toward Missouri, Nebraska, Kansas, South Dakota. Also some clouds as you make your way up toward the southern portion of Canada. Elements coming together to provide us our cloud cover issues come Friday. Then the opportunity for some light rain or light mixed precipitation as we make our way toward midnight on Friday. HG Futurecast, the latest update just coming in hot off the press. Not showing that band penetrating as deep inland, nor as strong with the earlier run. But again, we'll still call for a coating to an inch west in the Northway. The band subsides very early tomorrow, then it becomes mostly sunny. Then the Futurecast as we head through tomorrow night into early Friday, mostly clear. But I think by 7 a.m. will be mostly cloudy. Then I'll run the loop all the way through to show you that opportunity for some light mix or light rain. I think a little bit aggressive with the Futurecast, but I think that gets in here around midnight Friday night. 34 at Saratoga tomorrow, 37 at Hudson. Written from the forecast for tonight, flurries, scattered snow showers, again that coating to an inch west of the Hudson Valley, basically west of the Northway, and a low down to 28. For tomorrow, becoming mostly sunny, the breeze slowly eases up at a high of 34. Mostly cloudy, dry for the daylight hours of Friday. Light mix, light rain toward midnight, 35. That continues into Saturday, 44. Dry, partly sunny Sunday, 36. Next system as we head into early next week.
All right, we'll talk about that later.
You got it.
We'll be right back.
A bizarre discovery at a construction site at the College of Charleston in South Carolina. Workers found an artillery shell that dates back to the Civil War. Crews were working on a new vegan and vegetarian dining hall when they dug up this historical artifact. Police say the 9-inch shell was intended to be fired from a rifled cannon. It wasn't clear whether it belonged to the Union or Confederate troops.
A local World War I hero could get a long overdue honor by next week. Senator Chuck Schumer says a provision to give Sergeant Henry Johnson the Medal of Honor is included in the National Defense Authorization Act. The House is expected to vote on the measure this week, the Senate next week. Sergeant Johnson, an African-American from Albany, rescued a fellow soldier under heavy fire in 1918. Senator Schumer says Johnson had been denied the Medal of Honor because of segregation.
Leona's next with sports.
You're watching Liana Bonavita with News 10 ABC Sports.
Welcome back, everyone. The UAlbany men knew exactly what they were stepping into tonight. A non-stop, full-court, pressure-packed game against Holy Cross. The question is, how would they respond? Crusaders are ranked 3rd in the nation in steals per game. The key is making them pay for that pressure. Sam Rowley knocks down the wide-open jumper to go up a point, but the Great Danes, they do have issues with the press. Trey Green's pass picked off by Robert Champion. He goes in for the layup. Holy Cross reclaims the lead. First half going back and forth for a bit. Evan Singletary sinks the runner, but then on the other end, he goes under the screen instead of over it. That gives Anthony Thompson plenty of room to hit the three, and then he compounds errors here. Off the inbound, Singletary chucks up a bad pass. That leads to points on the other end. Holy Cross takes a 13-point lead into the break. And the second half, not much better. Mitchell Hahn torches the Danes. His coach said he doesn't play much, but tonight he took advantage of those minutes. 6 for 6 from three-point range, and UAlbany gets blown out 74-57. My teammate Josh Sims has more.
During this past week in practice, head coach Will Brown said there was a specific focus on handling the press. Holy Cross is a team that gets after it full court, 3rd in the nation in steals, and the Danes knew that going into this game. The problem, they did not execute their plan in tonight's game.
If we get a game plan and we don't execute it, then there's no chance we're going to win. They put us in the best position to win with a game plan, and if we don't execute it, stuff like this happens, and it's not good enough. A good team exposed us in every way tonight. So we really have to make some changes, and it comes from us, sort of the top down. And it's, yeah, it was a complete reality check tonight.
After the game, Coach Brown said the most disappointing thing about tonight's game wasn't that they lost, but that they got outcompeted on their home court here tonight. The Danes will try and bounce back on the road at St. Francis on Saturday. Reporting for News 10 ABC, I'm Josh Sims.
Thanks, Josh. Well, at least the Great Danes have a month to work through some of those issues. The Siena women, however, on the other hand, they don't have that much time. The Saints open their MAC slate tonight against Fairfield. Megan Donahue pushes the Saints' lead to 6 in the second half. She led the team with 16 points, but the Stags take the lead late in the game. Margot Hetzke ties it back up with a minute left. It all comes down to the final few possessions. Fairfield, Samantha Cooper, she hits the 3. Siena does not, and the Saints drop their first conference game 60-55. To high school ball, Kiana Patterson, one of only 4 upperclassmen on the Troy High team this year. The young Flying Horses opening their season against Catholic Central tonight. Senior Aaliyah Gillespie says, okay, you're not going to guard me, I'll take it. She hits the 3 to cut the lead to 5, but the Crusaders just too strong tonight. They're experienced. 3 girls score in double digits, and Catholic Central goes on to win it 56-47. Can you believe it? It's already basketball season. It seemed like football just ended.
I know. Flying by. Looks like some flurries and snow showers as we make our way west to the Northway for the overnight period. Steve, actually, Greg is in for Steve. We'll have the update tomorrow at 5 a.m.
Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
See you then.